The sun was barely awake, its first golden breath stretching over the dry horizon. The plains were still, too still. Only the restless shuffle of a horse broke the silence, hooves striking dust into the air as if even the animals could sense that something strange had arrived. The ranch stood alone, miles from the nearest road. Its fences creaked under the morning wind, and the faint smell of hay mixed with wood smoke hung in the cool dawn. Inside the barn, a man worked quietly, sleeves rolled, jaw tight, lost in the rhythm of solitude. Life out here had always been simple, hard, honest, and silent. Until today. A wagon approached, its wheels groaning, pulled by a single tired mule. The sound echoed like a question across the valley. The men turned toward it, eyes narrowing. He wasn't expecting anyone. Not today. Not anymore. The wagon stopped. The driver said nothing, just pointed to the passenger beside him. A small figure stepped down, trembling slightly, boots sinking into the mud. The dress was worn, the hands calloused, the eyes cautious yet defiant. The men recognized that look instantly, the look of someone cornered by life. He walked closer. "You from the agency?" His voice was rough, edged with disbelief. A small nod. "They said, you sent payment. That you needed someone here." The man frowned, pulling out a letter from his coat pocket. "That's not what He stopped. There was no point. Whoever was supposed to come clearly hadn't. This wasn't the person he'd been promised." He looked again, slower this time. The wind lifted the corner of her shawl, revealing a face both strong and fragile at once, the kind that carried the dust of miles and the weight of too many broken promises. "I didn't ask for this," he muttered. Her voice was soft but steady. "You paid, they said you wouldn't turn me away. So if you have to, just do it. Whatever you think I'm here for." The words cut like a whip through the silence. His jaw tightened. For a second, his pulse kicked faster, not with desire, but shock, confusion, maybe even pity. He took a slow breath, fighting the storm rising inside. "I don't want that," he said firmly. "Not like this. Not ever." She looked down. "Then what do you want from me?" He stared out at the open land, the endless line of sky and dust. "Nothing," he said quietly. "Except honesty. You can stay here for now. You'll work for your keep. But don't ever think I paid to own you." That night, the ranch was quiet again, though something had changed. The fire burned slower. The air felt heavier. She stayed in the small side cabin, cold, drafty, but better than the open road. He stayed in his own room, trying to sleep, but the sound of the wind carried her quiet sobs through the walls. It twisted something deep inside him, something he hadn't felt in years. Days passed. She worked without complaint, feeding chickens, mending broken fences, sweeping dust from corners that hadn't seen a broom in months. She moved like someone trying to earn a place in a world that didn't want her. He watched from a distance, saying little, but noticing everything. One evening, a storm rolled over the valley. Clouds gathered like soldiers, and the air turned electric. He was inside, repairing a saddle strap, when a knock echoed on the door. It was faint, but desperate. He opened it, and there she was, soaked to the bone, shivering. "The roof in the cabin's leaking," she whispered. "Water's pouring in." He grabbed his coat without a word and followed her. Rain slashed across the yard, wind howling through the broken boards. Inside, the cabin looked like a drowning ship, blankets soaked, floor covered in puddles. He shook his head. "You can't stay here tonight." "I'll be fine," she said quickly. "No, you won't," he replied. "Come to the main cabin. You'll get warm by the fire." She hesitated, unsure whether it was an order or an act of mercy. Finally, she followed. Inside, he threw a few more logs into the fire. The orange light danced over rough-hewn walls and shadows that flickered like ghosts. She stood by the doorway, dripping, silent. "You can dry off there," he said, pointing toward a blanket. "I'll take the chair." "You don't have to," she murmured. "I do," he said simply. For a long while, neither spoke. The rain beat against the windows, thunder rumbling in the distance. The flames snapped and hissed, filling the room with warmth and unease. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. You could have sent me away. He looked at her from across the room. Maybe I should have. Then why didn't you? He stared into the fire. Because something in your eyes said you'd already been sent away too many times. Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. The firelight painted her face in gold and shadow, softening the pain that lived there. He turned away, pretending to be busy with his gloves, though his mind refused to rest. That night, sleep didn't come easily. He sat awake, watching the fire die to embers, wondering when compassion had started to feel so dangerous. By morning, the storm had passed. The land looked clean, reborn. She thanked him quietly and went back to work as if nothing had happened. But everything had. Something unspoken now lived between them, a quiet understanding, fragile but real. Over the next weeks, they built fences together, shared meals in silence, and slowly learned each other's rhythms. She began to smile sometimes, though rarely. And once, when he saw her laugh at the way a calf tried to chase its own tail, it felt like the first sunrise after a long winter. But peace in the west never lasted. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low, 3 riders appeared on the ridge. Dust trailed behind them like a warning. The man's hand went to his holster. He knew trouble when he saw it. The riders stopped near the porch. Their leader, tall and rough-faced, spat in the dirt. "We're here for the girl." The rancher's eyes hardened. "She's not yours to take." "She ain't yours either," the men sneered. "Word is, her kin owed a debt. We've come to collect." A cold silence fell. The air between them thickened. "I don't care what she owes," the rancher said. "She's under my roof now." The stranger laughed. "You gonna fight for her? Over a girl you barely know?" The rancher didn't answer. His hand moved slightly, a slow, dangerous motion toward his revolver. The leader's grin faded. "You don't want to do this, cowboy." The answer came not in words but in thunder, the crack of a single shot splitting the air. Dust leapt from the ground, and one of the men fell from his saddle. The others scattered, cursing, their horses kicking up chaos as they rode off into the hills. When the silence returned, the rancher stood unmoving, smoke curling from the barrel of his gun. She ran out from the barn, eyes wide, breath ragged. "You could have been killed." He holstered the gun, breathing hard. "Not today." Her voice broke. "Why did you do it? You don't even know me." He looked at her for a long time, the weight of his words pressing on every heartbeat. "I know enough," he said finally. "Enough to know no one should live like they're worth less than a promise gone bad." Tears welled in her eyes, but she smiled through them. "So what now?" He turned toward the horizon, where the storm clouds were breaking apart into streaks of sunlight. "Now," he said softly, "we start again." And for the first time in years, he felt the tightness in his chest ease, not because of the fight, but because of the peace that followed it. As the sun sank behind the hills, the firelight flickered inside the cabin once more. 2 souls, both scarred, both searching, had found a fragile kind of belonging. Not love, not yet, but something honest. Something that might grow. The ranch, once empty and echoing, now carried the quiet sound of life returning, boots on wooden floors, laughter drifting across the fields, and the rustle of hope in the wind.